Inspiration mostly visits during the process of creation and not before. So you don't have to feel like it to do it. Just do it. Welcome to the Muse. My name is Peace Adeniro, and on the Muse today there are loads of interesting stuff to make your time worth the while. I have an author in the studio already, and we're going to be having a very interesting conversation. We're going to be playing a game, and we're going to be observing the tradition as usual. Well, do not go anywhere. Let's just go and check his profile while we come back for the conversation.
Olukorede Sadiq Yishau is an associate editor with the Nation newspaper based in Nigeria, where he has worked for over a decade. Yishau, who earlier worked as a journalist with the Source and Tell magazines, was in 2015 declared Columnist of the Year at the prestigious Nigerian Media Merit Awards. That night, he was also crowned NMMA Entertainment Reporter of the Year. Yishau, a graduate of mass communication from the Ambrose Ali University, Ekpoma, also has in his kitty honors such as the NMMA Capital Market Reporter of the Year 2013, NMMA Aviation Industry Reporter of the Year 2003, finalist Union Bank's Banking and Finance Reporter of the Year 2003, finalist Olukorede Entertainment Reporter of the Year 2001, finalist Print Journalist of the Year 2005, and finalist Political Reporter of the Year 2006. His poems were published in an anthology of poetry, Activist Poets, edited by Tunde Oladunjoye in the late 90s. He writes a column, Above Whispers, in The Nation every Friday. In the Name of Our Father is his debut. His concluding work on his second novel, Like Someone Skating on Thin Ice. Today on The Muse, Olukorede Yishau is our guest.
It's my pleasure to have Olukorede Yishau in the studio with me. Welcome, Korede.
Thank you, thank you.
And this your book, In the Name of Our Father. It's a really interesting read, I must say.
Thank you. I'm happy to hear that.
And then I love the book cover. It's a rosary. And what did you decided to use the rosary? Yeah?
Well, it's the artist who did the cover, Fred Martins.
Okay, but you had to approve though.
Of course. Well, part of the approval I had to do was when I first saw it, I was like, okay, this is good. But I was also afraid. I didn't want the Catholic Church to come after my neck. And the truth is that the story has nothing to do with the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
So we had to tell him to play on it. So we removed
the cross.
The cross.
Yeah, I could see that.
Then fade out a bit here and there, so that. So at the end of the day, some people was like, this is test bill. I said, okay. At least you are confused. So I didn't want something that would be too direct that a church will feel like I'm deliberately attacking them.
All right. So this is your first novel.
Yes, that's my
and then
first novel.
I know that you do poems, you write poems,
yes,
and so at what point did you delve into, or did you decide that you wanted to write novels?
I'm sure I was doing everything together.
Oh, okay.
I was writing poems. I was writing
drama,
novel, short stories,
okay, short stories,
drama, and all of that. But at the point, I felt more comfortable doing not poetry, not drama, do novels, do short stories, and all of that. In fact, at the time I even started doing short stories, I was trying to do another novel.
Okay.
But after I finished, I felt that this would work better as a collection of short stories, not because it was supposed to be a book about some people in prison.
Okay.
3 of them politically exposed people who had done some evil to the country, and the government caught them and decided to put them where they're supposed to be, behind bars. So for them to pass time, the 3 of them decided that they wanted to keep a diary of what is happening to them every day.
Okay.
Then, of course, to also tell the story of how they got into prison in the first place. But somehow after, I think I'd written like 52,000 words.
Okay.
But somehow I just felt there was something awkward that really didn't read like a novel to me. So I left it for like 1 year. Then I started work on another novel about 2 women living in the UK who, one of them found out later that the husband had another family somewhere that she wasn't aware of.
Wow.
So after I finished working on that one, I sent it to a friend who lives in the US, Chigozobioma, to read through for me and tell me his view. So he got back to me and told me what he felt. So I said, okay, I think this thing needed to be rewritten. So I left that
as well.
Then went back to the second one I wrote, and I felt this is a collection of short stories. So I started dismantling the stories, changing the name of the characters, try to remove the link between the stories.
Yeah.
But of course, if you read the book that eventually came out of it, you will notice that, okay, there are 3 or 4 stories that are set in prisons.
Yeah.
Okay, so I went back to the book, the second book, and discovered that this will work better as a collection of short stories. So I started dismantling the stories. Okay, this one I needed to add this, I need to add that to that, so that it will become a whole story that can stand on its own. But at the end of the day, a team of people keeping or revealing secrets still ties all the 10 stories together. So that was how we ended up with
Vault of Secrets. That's the compilation of stories. So let's talk about this novel, In the Name of Our Father, which is themed, it's a religious themed and some sort of journalistic experience.
Politics.
Politics and all of that.
Military dictatorship and all
Exactly. So what inspired this book? How did it come to be?
I used to work with a magazine called The Source. It was published by Comfort Obi. Okay. It's still being published, but more online now. At that time, we had an editor called Mike Nwosu. And Mike is a novelist. He's an associate professor and head of English department in the university in the US now.
Okay.
At that time, I used to read some of his own books too, and I at a point, the section in the magazine called Night Diary, the idea behind Night Diary is for people to share their experiences of things that happen at night.
Okay.
Mostly they were written by reporters, but once in a while we allowed people from outside to contribute. So one of those contributions from outside was about a pastor, and they were going into the bush at night to do all kinds of fetish things because they wanted to have powers to do miracles. So when I read that, I felt this was going to make a good material for a novel. But at a point, I also convinced myself that if I do the novel just on that, it was going to be too simple. I wanted something a bit complex. Then it occurred to me that at that time, Abacha, who was the head of state then, was rumored to be paying pastors, paying marabouts and all kinds of people to pray for him so that he would be our president for life. So I felt, okay, I think I can work with that. So I decided, okay, I was going to do a story within a story.
Okay.
Then I was going to start with a prologue about a journalist who has written a book and is being threatened not to publish that book. So the story within the story will be in such a way that the journalist is reading the manuscript of the novel is being threatened not to publish, because the novel is based on the true life of a particular pastor who everybody knew. But he just decided to change the name, twist a few things here and there. But somehow it was still being threatened that the book shouldn't
be published.
So, and when I was doing the writing, I wrote the beginning and the end of the book first. Okay. I knew where I was starting. I knew where the book was going. How I was going to get there was what I didn't know. So I wrote the beginning and the end first.
Okay.
Then I did the story within the story, and I told myself, okay, once I finish the story within the story, I was going to go back to the journalist and create some problem for him, then use that to tell the story of what people went through under the military government of
Yeah, I was
Sani
coming to
Abacha.
that though, because the suffering was just too much for Justice Omoeko.
I just played on it. They were actually, maybe they were not the experience of one person.
Okay.
I know Kunle Ajibade, for instance, was jailed for life. Kunle Ajibade was one of the founders of the News magazine.
Okay.
He was jailed for life. So at a point, I'm sure I must have forgotten over time, but I think that character was actually built around Kunle Ajibade.
Okay.
But of course, I changed so many. He actually has a book too called Jailed for Life about his time in prison and all of that. So I decided that, okay, that was what I was going to do, use the book to tell people what some journalists went through under the Abacha regime. And if you read the book, there is a part about the military tribunal in Jos.
Yes.
That's actually almost factual reporting. I just added a few pepper, salt.
Yeah, I get it.
But all those things about how people were jailed for being accessory after the fact of treason, and they were what
they were
military
real. They happened real time.
General Malu did at that time. So just play with it a bit here and there. So basically, that's how I came about this book.
Yeah, I must confess, I really loved the book, and I love the fact that it was you made real life events and fiction. You made them, get interwoven, and it's quite difficult to tell which is real life and which is fiction, because it got to a point I was seeing some names. I was like, this is this person, this is this person, because I of course, it's history and we've read about a lot of these people and stuff. So what lessons do you want people to learn from the book in general?
There are two major lessons.
Okay.
And funny enough, one of the major lessons is very useful for this time that we're experiencing in Nigeria. The country is on the precipice. We're going through so many security challenges, and you find people talking about let the military come, let the military come. One of the reasons why I wrote this book is to show that military regime is nonsense. They will come pretending that they are messiahs. They want to come and make things right, but they always end up messing things up.
In your opinion?
That's my opinion. They are not wired to govern. They are wired to kill. So when they get into government, they just usually end up enriching themselves, enriching their girlfriends, enriching their wives, their families, and cronies. They don't know how to. Politicians, they mess up. There's absolutely no doubt about
the civilians.
But military is certainly not the answer. That was one of the reasons why I wrote this, to show the evil of military dictatorship. Then the second reason is God gave us brain, and it was for a reason. If He wants us to pray everything into existence, He will make it that way. And my pastor Sam Adeyemi used to say that it would have been fantastic if you can just say, God, we want a fantastic road, and the road will appear.
And the road will appear.
We want a 50-story building, and it will appear. But it doesn't work that way. He gave us brain, and the reason for the brain is so that we can think and be able to do things for ourselves. Many of us, we have sublet our lives to pastors. If we want to rent a house, if we have not asked our pastor to pray on that house and tell us whether there is one juju buried there, we will not. Many of us who rent a house, if our pastor has not come to pray, we will not move into the house. If we want to travel abroad and we have not asked our pastor's permission, we will not go. So we have sublet our lives to these men. And I like saying something. They're actually men before they are men of God.
True. Which
means that some of the things they tell us actually has no spiritual basis.
So because they are
just
men.
Their opinion. And because they are men, there are also times that they mess up.
True.
But most of us, because it is coming from a man of God, we just take it that it's the gospel
line
truth.
and sinker.
And we go with that. And some fake ones, I've seen how gullible we are. So they
leverage on it.
Leverage on it to make money and all of that. They just deceive horse.
I think people are getting enlightened these days, though. I think people are really getting it, because I can see that it's easy for people these days to call them out and say, no, this is not it. This is what you should be doing.
That's one of the things I hope this book can achieve.
Definitely.
Get people to, like, use your brain. Chinua Achebe used to say something that his books are not innocent. This book is not innocent. It has an agenda.
Okay.
It has an agenda. When people say, why must every African book has to be about something? You can choose to write a book that is not about something.
About something in what sense?
Okay, they will say, okay, it's about corruption, it's about military dictatorship. They just want you to just tell
a social issue.
Just an entertaining story and all of that. It doesn't have to. I like doing what I call social realism.
Okay.
I'm not wired to do magical realism. I'm not sure I can write science fiction. In fact, the only time in my life I've ever gone to a cinema to see a science fight, I was sleeping because I couldn't relate to what they were doing. So the closest I've read to science fiction is Famished Road.
Okay.
But once it gets into all those, my brain can't pick it, so I don't.
Yeah, because it's definitely not your interest.
So I like doing social realism, something you will read and be able to practically pick out the characters.
The characters, yeah.
If you read Vote of Secret, for instance, you can. There's a particular story there. If you read and you are somebody who is a journalist, you practically know
the character you're talking about. Yeah, definitely.
In fact, so many people, when they read, they will call me and say, that is that person. But you deliberately killed the person in that book so that we will not say, well, I don't know what you are talking about.
That's interesting. All right, let's talk about the challenges you faced writing this book. What were there challenges, first off?
It wasn't difficult because I was writing about an era that wasn't too far away from the time I was writing. So I didn't have to do too much thinking. I even didn't have to do too much research because the materials were very fresh. And at that time, I had also started practicing journalism. So I practically come across the materials all the time.
They came easy for you.
Then most of those guys were coming out of prison. They were always on the TV, sharing their experiences and all of that. So I had enough material. So it didn't come at too much stress for me. It was a lot easier. 3 months of almost every day writing, and I was done.
All right, thank you so much for having this conversation with me. Let me say at this point that In the Name of Our Father by Olukorede Yishau is a must-read. It's a really interesting book. Let's go on this quick break. We'll be back after. Now, Olukorede and I will be reading excerpts from the book In the Name of Our Father, and we're reading from the first chapter titled In the Beginning. So let's just start. The center began not to hold for me when I decided to mount another pedestal. Until then, journalism was what I chose to pursue. But after a while, something else began to pursue me. It was beautiful and marvelous in my sight, but without form and void. I tried to run away from it. Try as I did, it would not leave me. In my dreams at night and during the day, the muse kept drawing me to it. I heard the muse clearly telling me to become a devotee and at the same time nudging me on the shoulder to take the quills. With time, I began to admire the muse and got enraptured. Then one day, I decided to give it form by putting pen to paper, and by the time I was about to bask in my new joy, hell came down hard on me. My head was topsy-turvy.
The beginning of the end began for me that day in my 2-bedroom apartment. I could not undo it alone and called on my creator, who I was convinced was lurking somewhere close by. I waited for him to respond to my 1 million rhetorical questions, but I continued to draw blank.
This is unfair, I found myself shouting. This is unfair.
And just then came a knock on the door. I got up from only three-seater chair in the sitting room where I had been sitting for hours, ruminating over the turn of my life.
I peeped through the door view and saw a strange face, wearing what looks like a uniform. The color of the uniform was blue. I opened the door.
Good afternoon, sir, greeted the stranger.
Good afternoon, I managed to reply.
I am from Ramson Express. I have a parcel for Mr. Justus Omoeko.
I am Justus Omoeko. I caught in.
I signed and collected the parcel. I bid the courier farewell and retired to my previous position on the three-seater. I tore the envelope open, hoping the contents will add some sunshine to my weary existence. But it was only a matter of time for me to realize that I had murdered sleep and single-handedly thrown it out of the window. Never will I sleep again.
The first thing I saw on opening the parcel sent a rude shock down my spine. It was the picture of a lady, a colleague of mine and myself. The picture in question was taken inside a fast food joint. I could not immediately remember taking any such picture with Kyra. This must be some trick. I tried consoling myself, but the fact that the parcel was from my fiancé in faraway Port Harcourt puzzled me. Even if I had taken a picture like that, how did it get to Ayomi, my fiancé?
Yes, I had taken Kyra out some weeks back when she was celebrating her 25th birthday, but I could not remember taking a picture with her during this outing. The state of confusion which the picture had put me in made me forget that there was an accompanying note in the parcel. Quickly, I fit out the note and fed my eyes and soul with the contents.
Lover boy, I've always known that I'm a pain in your neck. I'm impeding your progress as far as the exploration of female anatomies is concerned. Don't be surprised that I got this picture of you and your latest catch, which was at the scene of the bash you organized to celebrate our 25th birthday. I'm on my way to Lagos as you're reading this. It is for no other reason than to bid you a final bye-bye. Pick my things from your apartment and drop the damn spare keys of your apartment in my possession. Till then, hold your breath, Ayo. It's getting interesting already, but then you'd have to get the book to get the full story. Thank you for reading this excerpt with me.
Thank you.
There is still more to come on the Muse, though. Let's just take this quick breather. We'll be back after. Welcome to the game segment, and I am going to be playing our game with Olukorede. He's still here with me, and I'm very sure that he is ready and is super excited to play with me. Am I right?
Something like that.
Really? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, this is the game. It's a word construction game, and then I say a word. I'm starting the game, so I say a word. You pick the last letter of my word, and then you say your word. I pick the last letter, and then it goes on and on like that until someone misses out. That's the end of level 1. So level 2, it will be the last 2 letters. Level 3 will be the last 3 letters. Now, here are the rules of the game. No 2-letter words, no 3-letter words, no freezing, no hesitation, and no mentioning of a word that has been said before. Do you get it now?
I do.
All right, so let's play the game. Your word is origami.
India.
Okay. All right. You won. You won. Did you have to pick a word that ends with? There are different words that start with A, but you know, I just froze at that point. So you won this level. Let's move on to level 2. And remember, level 2 is the last 2 letters. So let's have your word.
Tables.
Hey, why now? Why am I?
I've won again.
Okay, you've won again. So let's move on to level 3. I will start with level 3 now. Desperation. The last 3 letters.
Ionized.
Zedicus.
There's nothing like Zedicus.
I can't believe I lost this game. Wow. So this is the first time on the show I'll be losing all 3 levels. Okay, let me clap for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You won all 3 levels. All right, there is still more to come on the show. Let's just go on a break now, and then we'll come back and sign the Muse board. Right about now, Olukorede is going to sign the Muse board in observance of the Muse tradition. So, Olukorede, you're going to help me get up now and go to the board, put your signature.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, let me look for a nice spot.
Oh, yes. And we have a little something for you as well.
Thank you
for being our muse.
Thank you.
You are our muse. From the team, this is a little gift to say thank you for coming and thank you for being a part of this production.
Thank you. It's been an interesting conversation.
Thank you so much. So make sure you hang this in your study particularly, because it's a muse on its own. Isn't it beautiful?
It is, it is. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching me from the beginning of the show down to this moment. And special thanks to everyone behind the scene working hard to make sure that this production comes out really beautiful. Till I see you again next week, my name is Peace Adeniro. Ensure you have a good time.